Maya Chen stepped off the old bus, her hand tightly holding her 6-year-old daughter Lily's small fingers. The cool morning air of Millbrook hit her face, bringing back memories she had tried to forget for 7 long years. This small town by the ocean looked exactly the same old buildings, and the same smell of salt water mixed with pine trees. Lily looked up at her mother with curious brown eyes. "Mama, why are we here? Is this where we're going to live now?" Maya smiled down at her daughter and adjusted the small backpack on Lily's shoulders. "We're here to find someone very special, sweetheart. Someone who helped Mama a long time ago." Then, Maya's jacket pocket, she carried a worn business card that had been with her for 7 years. The card was from Thompson's hardware store, but on the back, someone had written in neat handwriting, "Sometimes the darkest nights lead to the brightest mornings. A friend." These simple words had saved Maya's life when she was just 19 years old. Back then, she was a scared college student who had dropped out of school when she found out she was going to have a baby. Her parents had been so angry that they told her to leave their house and never come back. Maya had no money, no job, and nowhere to go. She had been living in her old car for weeks trying to figure out what to do. One cold, rainy night, Maya had driven to this town she had never visited before. She had parked her car near the cliffs that overlooked the dark ocean. Standing there in the rain, looking down at the crashing waves, Maya had felt completely alone in the world. She was cold, hungry, and scared about her future. The thought of ending everything right there had seemed like the only way out, but then someone had appeared out of nowhere. Through the heavy rain and darkness, Maya couldn't see the person's face clearly. All she remembered was a gentle voice and someone sitting beside her with an umbrella, protecting her from the storm. This stranger had talked to her for what felt like hours, telling her that even the worst storms eventually pass, and that sometimes our biggest problems can lead to our greatest blessings. The person had driven Maya to a warm shelter in town, given her money for food, and left her with that business card, an encouraging note. Maya never got to see what this helpful person looked like, but she remembered the voice kind, patient, and somehow familiar. She only knew that this person worked at or owned Thompson's hardware store. Now, 7 years later, Maya had a completely different life. She had finished her education, found a good job, and raised her beautiful daughter as a single mother. But she had never forgotten that night or the person who had shown her such kindness when she needed it most. Maya had always promised herself that one day she would return to find this person and say thank you. As Maya and Lily walked down Main Street, Maya's heart was beating fast with excitement and worry. What if the person had moved away from this small town? What if they didn't remember her? What if they didn't want to be found? These questions had been bothering Maya for months as she planned this trip. The town looked peaceful in the morning light. People were opening their shops, and children were walking to school with their backpacks. Maya remembered how different everything had felt that rainy night 7 years ago. Back then, this place had seemed scary and lonely. Now, with the sun shining and her daughter by her side, it felt welcoming and full of hope. "Look, Mama." Lily pointed to a small ice cream shop with colorful decorations in the window. "Can we get ice cream later?" Maya laughed, feeling some of her nervousness go away. "Of course, baby." After we finish our important work, they walked past a small park, where some elderly people were sitting on benches, feeding birds. Maya wondered if any of these people had been here 7 years ago. Maybe one of them had seen her that night, or maybe they knew the person who had helped her as they got closer to the hardware store. Maya's stomach started to feel tight with worry. She had imagined this moment so many times, but now that it was actually happening, she felt scared. What would she say? How could she explain how much that one night had changed her entire life? The hardware store was in an old brick building that looked like it had been there for many years. The sign above the door was faded, and the windows were filled with tools and supplies. Maya took a deep breath and pushed open the heavy door. Hearing a little bell ring as they entered, the store smelled like metal and wood. It was filled with shelves of screws, nails, paint, and all kinds of tools. Behind the counter stood a man with gray hair and kind eyes. He looked up from some paperwork and smiled at Maya and Lily. Good morning, ladies. How can I help you today? Maya felt her throat get dry. This was the moment she had been waiting for, but suddenly she didn't know how to begin. She pulled out the old business card and placed it on the counter with shaking hands. I'm looking for someone who used to work here, Maya said quietly. About 7 years ago. They helped me during a very difficult time, and I want to thank them. The man behind the counter looked at the card carefully, turning it over to read the handwritten message. His expression became serious as he studied Maya's face. 7 years ago, you said? He scratched his head thoughtfully. It's quite a long time. I'm Bill Thompson, and I've only owned this store for about 3 years. Let me see what I can find out for you. Maya felt her heart sink a little, but she tried to stay hopeful. Bill went to a filing cabinet and pulled out some old folders. The previous owner kept pretty good records, he said, flipping through papers. Let's see what we can find about who was working here back then. While Bill searched through the files, Lily wandered around the store, fascinated by all the different tools and supplies. Maya watched her daughter explore, remembering how different her life had been when she was pregnant with Lily. Back then, she had been so scared about becoming a mother. Now, watching Lily's curious and happy face, Maya couldn't imagine her life without her daughter. Here we go, Bill said, pulling out a sheet of paper. It looks like during that time, there was someone named Sam Rodriguez who worked here. They were only employed for about 6 months, and then they moved away. Maya felt a rush of excitement. Finally, she had a name. Sam Rodriguez, she repeated. Do you know where they went? How can I find them? Bill looked through more papers, but shook his head. I'm sorry, but there's no forwarding address here. But I'll tell you what, Sam was known around town for being very helpful to people. You might want to talk to some of the other business owners. They might remember Sam and know where you can find them. Maya thanked Bill and left the store feeling both disappointed and hopeful. She had a name now, but Sam Rodriguez could be anywhere. Still, it was more than she had when she woke up that morning. As they walked back down Main Street, Maya noticed how many people smiled and waved at them.
Ow.
This was the kind of place where strangers were friendly to each other. That's why someone had been willing to help her that night 7 years ago. Maybe kindness was just part of how people lived in this town. Mama, are we going to find the person today? Lily asked, skipping along beside her mother. Maya looked down at her daughter's hopeful face and smiled. I don't know, sweetheart. We're going to try our best. Sometimes the most important things take time to find. As they continued down the street, Maya felt determined to keep searching. She had come so far to get here, and she wasn't going to give up now. Somewhere in this town, there might be someone who remembered Sam Rodriguez and could help her find the person who had changed her life forever. The morning sun was getting warmer, and Maya could hear the sound of waves crashing against the cliffs in the distance. That sound brought back memories of that terrible night, but now, with her daughter beside her and hope in her heart, even those memories didn't seem as frightening as they once had. Maya squeezed Lily's hand a little tighter and kept walking. Their search for Sam Rodriguez was just beginning, and Maya had a feeling that this small town still had many secrets to reveal. Maya and Lily found a cozy bed-and-breakfast on Maple Street called the Rosewood Inn. The owner, Mrs. Eleanor Hartwell, was a sweet older woman with silver hair and warm blue eyes. She welcomed them with freshly baked cookies and hot chocolate, making Lily giggle with delight. What brings you lovely ladies to our little town? Mrs. Hartwell asked, as she showed them to their room upstairs. Maya hesitated for a moment, then decided to be honest. I'm looking for someone who helped me years ago. Someone named Sam Rodriguez, who used to work at Thompson's Hardware. Mrs. Hartwell's face lit up with interest. Well, that's a wonderful thing to do, finding someone to thank them. I don't remember that name specifically, but I've lived here for 40 years. They were part of this community. Someone will remember them. Their room was small, but comfortable, with 2 beds covered in colorful quilts and a window that looked out over the town's main street. Lily immediately ran to the window and pressed her nose against the glass. Mama, look, there's a dog down there, and it's wearing a red sweater. Maya smiled and joined her daughter at the window. The view showed them the heart of Millbrook. People walking their dogs, children riding bicycles, and shop owners sweeping their front steps. It was the kind of place where everyone probably knew everyone else. After getting settled, Maya decided to continue her search. She had written down the names of several businesses she wanted to visit, hoping someone would remember Sam Rodriguez. Mrs. Hartwell had suggested starting with the diner. Since everyone talks to Janet, and she remembers everything, the Millbrook Diner was a classic small-town restaurant with red vinyl booths and a long counter where locals sat drinking coffee and chatting. The smell of bacon and fresh coffee filled the air, making Maya's stomach growl. She and Lily sat at a corner booth, and soon a friendly waitress with curly brown hair came over. "Hi there, I'm Janet, and I own this place. You two aren't from around here, are you?" Maya pulled out the business card again, feeling like it was becoming her most important possession. "I'm Maya, and this is my daughter Lily. We're looking for someone named Sam Rodriguez who used to work at the hardware store about 7 years ago." Janet poured Maya a cup of coffee and brought Lily a glass of milk with a colorful straw. She studied the card carefully, her forehead wrinkled in concentration. "Sam Rodriguez, ... She repeated slowly, "That name sounds familiar, but I can't quite place it." 7 years ago, you said? Oh, that was right after my husband passed away, so my memory of that time is a bit fuzzy." She paused, then brightened. "But I do remember someone from the hardware store who used to come in here. Regular-like. Always left good tips and said kind things to people who looked like they were having a hard day." Maya felt a spark of hope. "Do you remember what they looked like?" Janet scratched her head thoughtfully. "Well, that's the funny thing. I remember the kindness more than the face, if that makes sense. But I think they were about average height, maybe in their 30s. They had this gentle way of talking to people." After finishing their meal, Maya and Lily walked to the local church, a beautiful white building with a tall steeple. Father Michael was working in the garden outside, planting flowers with dirt-covered hands. He was a kind-looking man with gray hair and laugh lines around his eyes. "Excuse me, Father," Maya said. "I'm looking for someone named Sam Rodriguez, who used to live here about 7 years ago." Father Michael stood up and brushed the dirt off his hands. "Sam Rodriguez? Let me think. Oh, yes. I believe there was someone by that name who used to volunteer at our food bank. They helped pack boxes for families who needed groceries." Maya's heart raced. "Do you remember anything else about them?" "Well, they were very quiet, but hard-working. Always showed up when they said they would, I remember. They had a special way with the children who came with their parents, always had a kind word or a small toy to give them." Father Michael smiled at Lily. "Speaking of children, would you like to see our Sunday school room? We have some books and games there." While Lily played with some puzzles, Maya continued talking with Father Michael. He told her more stories about the volunteer work Sam had done, but like Janet, he couldn't remember exactly what Sam looked like. "Yes, strange," she said. "I have such clear memories of their kindness, but the physical details seem fuzzy. Maybe that's because their actions were more memorable than their appearance." Next, Maya visited the town's small medical clinic. Dr. Patricia Walsh was a middle-aged woman with short black hair and a warm smile. She was just finishing with a patient when Maya knocked on her office door. Come in," Dr. Walsh said. "How can I help you today?" Maya explained her search once again, showing the business card. Dr. Walsh listened carefully, nodding as Maya spoke. "Sam Rodriguez. Yes, I remember that name. They used to bring donations to the clinic, things like blankets, baby formula, and warm clothes for families who couldn't afford them. Very generous person." "Can you tell me what they looked like?" Maya asked, hopefully. Dr. Walsh frowned slightly. I'm getting the strangest feeling about this. I remember Sam Rodriguez, but when I try to picture them, I get different images. Sometimes I think of a younger person, sometimes older. It's like my memory is playing tricks on me." Maya felt confused. 3 different people had remembered Sam Rodriguez, but none of them could give her a clear description. How could someone be so memorable for their kindness but so forgettable in appearance? As they walked back toward the inn, Lily skipped beside her mother, humming a little song. "Mama, why don't the people remember what Sam looked like?" Maya stopped, walking and looked down at her daughter. Sometimes children ask the most important questions. I don't know, sweetheart. Maybe when someone is really kind, people remember their heart more than their face. That evening, Maya sat on the porch of the inn while Lily played with Mrs. Hartwell's cat, a fat orange tabby named Whiskers. The sun was setting over the ocean, painting the sky in shades of pink and purple. Maya thought about all the people she had talked to that day. Each person had a different memory of Sam Rodriguez. But they all remembered the same thing: kindness. Someone who helped without expecting anything in return. Someone who made other people feel better just by being around them. Maya pulled out her phone and called her best friend, Luna, back home. I found the name, she said when Luna answered. Sam Rodriguez. But here's the weird part. Everyone remembers them differently. What do you mean? Luna asked. Well, Janet at the diner thinks Sam was in their 30s. Father Michael remembers them working with children. Dr. Walsh says they brought donations to the clinic. But none of them can really describe what Sam looked like. Luna was quiet for a moment. Maybe Sam was just one of those people who made a big impact. Sometimes the most important people in our lives aren't the ones we remember clearly. They're the ones who touched our hearts. After they hung up, Maya sat in the growing darkness, listening to the sound of waves in the distance. Tomorrow she would continue her search, but tonight she felt grateful for the people of Millbrook who were helping her. Even if she never found Sam Rodriguez, she was learning something important about the power of kindness and how it spreads from person to person. Mrs. Hartwell came outside with a cup of tea for Maya. Any luck today, dear? Sort of, Maya said. I found people who remember Sam, but it's like they're all remembering different pieces of the same puzzle. Mrs. Hartwell sat down in the chair next to Maya. You know, sometimes the most important people in our lives are like that. They touch so many hearts in so many ways that everyone remembers them differently. But the feeling they leave behind is always the same hope. Maya smiled and sipped her tea. Tomorrow would bring new possibilities, and she wasn't ready to give up yet. Somewhere in this town, there might be someone who could help her find the person who had changed her life forever. The next morning, Maya woke up to the sound of Lily giggling downstairs. She found her daughter in the kitchen with Mrs. Hartwell, both of them covered in flour as they made pancakes together. Mama, look. Mrs. Hartwell is teaching me how to flip pancakes, Lily said excitedly, holding a spatula that was almost as big as she was. Mrs. Hartwell smiled warmly. This little one is a natural cook. She's been telling me all about your search for Sam Rodriguez. Maya sat down at the kitchen table, feeling grateful for how kind everyone in this town had been to them. I'm starting to think Sam Rodriguez might be harder to find than I thought. Well, dear, I had an idea, Mrs. Hartwell said, as she helped Lily flip another pancake. Why don't you visit the library today? Thomas Kim, the librarian, has been here for 15 years. He keeps records of everything that happens in this town. If anyone would have information about Sam Rodriguez, it would be him. After breakfast, Maya and Lily walked to the Millbrook Public Library, a charming brick building with ivy growing up its walls. Inside, the library was quiet and peaceful, with tall shelves full of books and comfortable reading chairs by the windows. Thomas Kim was a gentle man in his 50s with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He looked up from his computer when Maya and Lily approached his desk. Good morning. Welcome to our library. I'm Thomas. How can I help you today? Maya explained her search once again, and Thomas listened with great interest. Sam Rodriguez. Let me check our local archives. We keep newspaper clippings and records of community events going back many years. Thomas led them to a quiet corner of the library where old newspapers were stored in large filing cabinets. He pulled out several folders and spread them across a table. Let's see what we can find, he said, opening the first folder. 7 years ago. Here are some articles about community service projects and local volunteer work. Maya and Lily looked through the papers together. There were pictures of people helping at food drives, cleaning up parks, and organizing fundraisers for families in need, but none of the photos showed anyone who looked like they might be Sam Rodriguez. This is interesting, Thomas said, pointing to a small newspaper article. It says here that there was a group of volunteers who worked together to help people in crisis. They didn't want their names in the paper, but they did a lot of good work around town. Maya felt a flutter of excitement. Do you think Sam Rodriguez might have been part of that group? It's possible, Thomas said. But look at this. He showed her another article about people helping during a bad storm. The volunteers here also chose to remain anonymous. It seems like there were several people in town who preferred to help others without getting recognition for it. As they continued searching, Maya noticed something strange. Every article about helping people in crisis mentioned anonymous volunteers. But there were very few names mentioned at all. It was as if the most helpful people in town had all decided to stay in the shadows. Thomas, Maya said thoughtfully, do you remember anything about Hope Point? The cliffs overlooking the ocean? Thomas nodded. Oh yes, everyone knows about Hope Point. It's a beautiful spot, but it can be dangerous during storms. Over the years, there have been several incidents there of people in trouble. What kind of incidents? Maya asked, though she already suspected she knew the answer. Well, sometimes people go there when they're feeling very sad or desperate. The community has always been good about watching out for each other, especially during difficult times. Thomas looked at Maya with understanding eyes. Is that where you met Sam Rodriguez? Maya nodded, feeling tears start to form in her eyes. They saved my life that night. I was in a very dark place, and they sat with me in the rain and gave me hope. Thomas smiled gently. Then Sam Rodriguez was a very special person indeed. Let me show you something else. He pulled out a folder marked Community Heroes and opened it on the table. Inside were dozens of letters and thank you notes from people who had been helped by anonymous volunteers over the years. People write these letters when they want to thank someone but don't know how to find them, Thomas explained. We keep them here in case the volunteers ever want to read them. Maya read through several of the letters. Each one told a story. Similar to hers, someone in crisis being helped by a kind stranger who didn't want recognition. Some letters mentioned the hardware store business cards with encouraging messages written on the back. Thomas, Maya said slowly, I think Sam Rodriguez might not be just one person. Thomas raised his eyebrows. What do you mean? Look at these letters. They're all about different people being helped in different ways, but they all mention the same kind of kindness. What if Sam Rodriguez was a name used by several different volunteers? Lily, who had been quietly looking at a picture book, suddenly looked up, like a secret superhero name. Maya and Thomas both smiled at her innocent observation, but Maya realized her daughter might be onto something important. You know what Thomas said? I think you might be right. I've lived in this town long enough to know that we've always had people who look out for each other. Maybe Sam Rodriguez was like a code name that different volunteers used. That afternoon, Maya and Lily walked around town with a new understanding. Instead of looking for one specific person, Maya started paying attention to how the whole community worked together. She noticed how the shop owners checked on elderly customers, how neighbors helped each other carry groceries, how everyone seemed to know when someone needed help at the post office. The clerk told Maya about a time when someone had anonymously paid for a family's overdue bills. At the gas station, the owner mentioned how volunteers had helped him clean up after a storm. At the flower shop, the owner talked about mysterious donations that appeared whenever someone in town was sick or grieving. It's like this whole town is full of Sam Rodriguez's, Maya told Lily as they sat on a bench in the small park. That's good, right, Mama? Lily asked, feeding breadcrumbs to some ducks in the pond. Yes, sweetheart, it's very good. It means that the person who helped me wasn't just one special person. They were part of a whole community of special people. That evening, Maya called her friend Luna again. I think I'm starting to understand something important, she said. Maybe the reason I couldn't forget about Sam Rodriguez wasn't just because I wanted to say thank you. Maybe it was because I needed to learn that kindness isn't just something one person does. It's something that spreads from person to person. That sounds beautiful, Luna said. What will you do now? Maya looked out the window of the inn, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors. I'm going to keep looking for Sam Rodriguez. But now I'm also going to pay attention to all the other people in this town who are carrying on that same spirit of kindness. As Maya tucked Lily into bed that night, her daughter asked, Mama, do you think we'll ever find Sam Rodriguez? Maya kissed her daughter's forehead. You know what, baby? I think we're already finding them. Every person we meet who remembers their kindness, every story we hear about people helping each other, that's all part of finding Sam Rodriguez. Lily smiled sleepily. I like this town, Mama. The people here are nice. Yes, they are, Maya. Agreed. And maybe that's the most important thing we've discovered. Outside their window, the town of Millbrook settled into peaceful evening quiet, full of people who had learned that the best way to honor kindness was to pass it on to others. Maya spent the next few days talking to more people around town, and each conversation made the mystery of Sam Rodriguez even more puzzling. The baker remembered someone who left encouraging notes for struggling customers. The school principal talked about anonymous donations of school supplies for children who couldn't afford them. The taxi driver mentioned a person who always paid extra to help cover rides for elderly people who needed to get to doctor appointments. But still, nobody could give Maya a clear description of what Sam Rodriguez looked like. It was beginning to feel like chasing a ghost. On Thursday morning, Maya was sitting in the diner with Lily, feeling a bit discouraged, when Janet the waitress sat down across from them. "You look troubled, honey," Janet said kindly. "Still haven't found your Sam Rodriguez?" Maya shook her head. "I've talked to so many people, and everyone remembers the kindness, but nobody remembers the person clearly. It doesn't make sense." Janet poured herself a cup of coffee and thought for a moment. "You know what? I think you should talk to Dr. Rachel Mitchell. She's our town's crisis counselor. If anyone would know about people who help others during difficult times, it would be her." After breakfast, Maya and Lily walked to Dr. Mitchell's office, which was in a small building next to the medical clinic. The waiting room was painted in soft, calming colors, with comfortable chairs and books scattered around. Dr. Mitchell came out to greet them. A woman in her 40s with gentle brown eyes and a warm smile. "Please, come in," Dr. Mitchell said, leading them to her office. "Janet called and told me you might be coming by. She said you're looking for someone who helped you years ago." Maya sat down in a comfortable chair while Lily played quietly with some toys in the corner. For the first time since arriving in Millbrook, Maya told the complete story of that terrible night 7 years ago. She talked about being pregnant and alone, about living in her car, and about standing on those cliffs feeling like she had nowhere to turn. Dr. Mitchell listened carefully, nodding with understanding. When Maya finished her story, Dr. Mitchell was quiet for a long moment. "Maya," she said gently, "I think I know what happened that night. But the truth might be different from what you've been expecting." Maya felt her heart start beating faster. "What do you mean?" Dr. Mitchell stood up and walked to a filing cabinet. She pulled out a folder and sat back down. "About 10 years ago, our community started noticing that people in crisis were sometimes going to dangerous places like Hope Point. A group of caring people decided to do something about it." "What kind of something?" Maya asked. "Create an informal network of volunteers who would take turns watching areas where people in trouble might go. They didn't want recognition or thanks. They just wanted to help save lives." Maya felt confused. But what does this have to do with Sam Rodriguez?" Dr. Mitchell opened the folder and showed Maya some papers. Sam Rodriguez wasn't a real person, Maya. It was a name that all the volunteers agreed to use when they helped someone. That way, if people like you ever came looking to say thank you, they would have a name to remember. Maya stared at the papers, trying to understand. "You mean the person who saved me that night was pretending to be someone else?" "Not pretending exactly," Dr. Mitchell explained patiently. "They were part of a group that had decided to help people anonymously. The business cards with encouraging messages were something they prepared ahead of time. Each volunteer carried them and signed them Sam Rodriguez, so there would be consistency." Maya felt like the world was spinning around her. "Never existed? The person who sat with you that night was very real," Dr. Mitchell said firmly. "Their kindness was real. Their care for you was real. They just didn't use their real name because the group had agreed that the help was more important than individual recognition." Lily looked up from her toys. "Mama, why do you look sad?" Maya tried to smile at her daughter, but she felt overwhelmed. All this time she had been looking for one specific person, but that person had been using a fake name. How would she ever find them now? Dr. Mitchell seemed to understand what Maya was feeling. "I know this is probably disappointing, but I want you to know that the volunteers in this group saved many lives over the years. Your story is just one of dozens of people who were helped during their darkest moments." "How many people were in this group?" Maya asked. about 15 volunteers at different times. Some were shop owners, some were teachers, some were retired people who just wanted to help. They worked in shifts, especially during bad weather or around holidays when people might be feeling especially alone. Maya thought about all the people she had talked to in town: Janet at the diner, Father Michael at the church, Dr. Walsh at the clinic, Thomas at the library. Had any of them been part of this group? The group stopped meeting about 3 years ago, Dr. Mitchell continued. Some volunteers moved away, others got older, and a few passed away. But their spirit of helping others has continued in different ways throughout the community. Dr. Mitchell, Maya said slowly, is there any way to find out who was working? That specific night, the night they helped me? Dr. Mitchell looked through her papers. The volunteers kept very simple records, mostly just to make sure all the dangerous areas were being watched. Let me see, ... She ran her finger down a list of dates. 7 years ago? October 15th? Was that the night? Maya nodded.
That date
was burned into her memory forever. Says here that Hope Point was being watched by ... double quotes. Actually, there were 2 volunteers that night because of the bad storm. One was Alex Chen, a traveling nurse who was in town taking care of a sick relative. The other was... She looked up at Maya with surprise. The other was Mrs. Eleanor Hartwell. Maya's mouth fell open. Mrs. Hartwell? The lady who owns the Bedon breakfast? Where we're staying? Yes, Dr. Mitchell said. But according to the records, it was Alex Chen who actually found you at the cliffs that night. Eleanor was watching the harbor area. Maya felt like she couldn't breathe. All this time she had been staying at the inn with Mrs. Hartwell, and Mrs. Hartwell had been part of the group that saved lives. But it was Alex Chen who had actually sat with her in the rain. Where is Alex Chen now? Maya asked urgently. Dr. Mitchell smiled. That's the wonderful part of this story. Alex specifically asked me to call them if anyone ever came looking for the person who helped them that night. Alex has been hoping for years to find out what happened to you. Maya felt tears start rolling down her cheeks. They wanted to find me too. Alex said that helping you that night was one of the most meaningful experiences of their life. They've always wondered if you were okay, if you had your baby safely, if you found happiness.
Al.
Dr. Mitchell picked up her phone.
Alex is working.
As a psychiatric nurse in Seattle now, would you like me to call them? Maya could barely speak through her tears. Yes, please. As Dr. Mitchell dialed the number, Maya looked over at Lily, who was watching her mother with curious eyes. In a few minutes, Maya would be talking to the person who had saved both of their lives that stormy night 7 years ago. The phone rang once, twice, and then Maya heard Dr. Mitchell say, Alex. This is Dr. Mitchell in Millbrook. I have someone here who's been looking for you for a very long time. Maya spent the next few days talking to more people around town. And each conversation made the mystery of Sam Rodriguez even more puzzling. The baker remembered someone who left encouraging notes for struggling customers. The school principal talked about anonymous donations of school supplies for children who couldn't afford them. The taxi driver mentioned a person who always paid extra to help cover rides for elderly people who needed to get to doctor appointments. But still, nobody could give Maya a clear description of what Sam Rodriguez looked like. It was beginning to feel like chasing a ghost. On Thursday morning, Maya was sitting in the diner with Lily, feeling a bit discouraged, when Janet the waitress sat down across from them. You look troubled, honey, Janet said kindly. Still haven't found your Sam Rodriguez? Maya shook her head. I've talked to so many people, and everyone remembers the kindness, but nobody remembers the person clearly. It doesn't make sense. Janet poured herself a cup of coffee and thought for a moment. You know what? I think you should talk to Dr. Rachel Mitchell. She's our town's crisis counselor. If anyone would know about people who help others during difficult times, it would be her. After breakfast, Maya and Lily walked to Dr. Mitchell's office, which was in a small building next to the medical clinic. The waiting room was painted in soft, calming colors, with comfortable chairs and books scattered around. Dr. Mitchell came out to greet them. A woman in her 40s with gentle brown eyes and a warm smile. Please, come in, Dr. Mitchell said, leading them to her office. Janet called and told me you might be coming by. She said you're looking for someone who helped you years ago? Maya sat down in a comfortable chair while Lily played quietly with some toys in the corner. For the first time since arriving in Millbrook, Maya told the complete story of that terrible night 7 years ago. She talked about being pregnant and alone, about living in her car, and about standing on those cliffs feeling like she had nowhere to turn. Dr. Mitchell listened carefully, nodding with understanding. When Maya finished her story, Dr. Mitchell was quiet for a long mom. Maya's hands were shaking as Dr. Mitchell handed her the phone. She could hear a voice on the other end saying, "Hello, Dr. Mitchell, is everything okay?" "Alex," Dr. Mitchell said, "I'm going to let Maya talk to you now." She's the young woman you helped at Hope Point 7 years ago. Maya took the phone with trembling fingers. "Hello, is this really Alex?" It was a moment of silence, and then Maya heard a sharp intake of breath. "Oh my goodness, is it really you, the young woman from that stormy night?" "Yes, it's me," Maya said, tears streaming down her face. "I came back to find you. I wanted to say thank you." Alex's voice was filled with emotion. "I've thought about you so many times over the years. I wondered if you were safe, if your baby was born healthy, if you found happiness. Are you okay? Please tell me you're okay." Maya looked over at Lily, who was now standing beside her chair, concerned about her mother's tears. "I'm more than okay. I'm wonderful. I have the most amazing 6-year-old daughter named Lily." 6 years old, Alex exclaimed. "Oh, that makes me so happy. Remember sitting with you that night, talking about how your baby would bring you joy even when everything seemed impossible." Maya wiped her eyes with the tissue Dr. Mitchell handed her. "Alex, you saved my life. Both of our lives. I don't know how to thank you enough." "You don't need to thank me," Alex said softly. "Helping you that night helped me too. I was going through a very difficult time myself, and sitting with you reminded me that we all have the power to help each other through the darkness." They talked for over an hour. Alex told Maya about becoming a psychiatric nurse, inspired partly by their experience helping people in crisis in Millbrook. Maya shared stories about raising Lily, finishing her education, and building a good life for them both. "Alex," Maya said finally, "I want you to meet Lily, and I want to do something to honor what you and the other volunteers did for people like me." "I would love to meet Lily," Alex said. "And actually, I've been thinking about taking some time off work. Maybe I could visit Millbrook? It would mean so much to see the town again and meet the little girl whose life we helped save that night." After they hung up, Maya felt like a huge weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She had found the person she was looking for, and even better, Alex wanted to reconnect too. Dr. Mitchell smiled at Maya. "How do you feel?" "Grateful," Maya said. "But also like I want to do something meaningful with this experience." "Is there still a need for the kind of help that Alex and the volunteers used to provide?" "There's always a need," Dr. Mitchell said. "Unfortunately, without the organized group, some people in crisis don't get help as quickly as they used to." Evening, Maya sat on the porch of the inn with Mrs. Hartwell, watching Lily play in the garden with Whiskers the cat. Maya had learned that Mrs. Hartwell had indeed been one of the volunteers, though she hadn't been the one to find Maya that specific night. "Why didn't you tell me before?" Maya asked. Mrs. Hartwell smiled gently. "I wanted you to understand the full picture first. The work we did was never about individual recognition. It was about the community coming together to help people. When you started searching for Sam Rodriguez, I thought it was important for you to see how many people had been involved in creating a culture of kindness." "Mrs. Hartwell, would you help me start something new? A way to continue the work that you and Alex and the others were doing?" Mrs. Hartwell's eyes lit up. "What did you have in mind?" Over the next few days, Maya worked with Dr. Mitchell and Mrs. Hartwell to create a plan. They would establish a small foundation called Second. Chances that would provide emergency help to young people in crisis. The foundation would offer temporary housing, counseling, job training, and other support services. Maya used her life savings and started a crowdfunding campaign online, sharing her story about how one act of kindness had changed everything for her and Lily. The response was overwhelming. People from all over the country donated money and shared their own stories of times when strangers had helped them. During difficult moments, when Alex arrived in Millbrook 2 weeks later, Maya and Lily were waiting at the bus stop. Maya recognized Alex immediately, not from their physical appearance, but from the kindness in their eyes and the gentle way they moved. "Alex," Maya called out, and they ran toward each other, hugging like old friends. Lily hung back shyly at first, but Alex knelt down to her level and said, "You must be Lily. Your mama has told me so many wonderful things about you."
"Are you the person who helped my mama when I was still in her tummy?"
Lily asked with the direct honesty of a 6-year-old. "Yes, I am," Alex said. "And I'm so glad I did, because look how amazing you turned out." Together they visited Hope Point, but this time the cliffs didn't seem scary to Maya. With Alex beside her and Lily holding her hand, the place felt peaceful. They stood looking out at the ocean while Alex told Lily stories about how storms always end and how the sun always comes back. "We're going to put a special bench here," Maya told Alex, with words on it to remind people that dark times don't last forever. The memorial bench was installed a month later. The plaque read, "In memory of all the people who choose to sit with strangers in their darkest hours. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give is simply our presence." Maya, Alex, Dr. Mitchell, Mrs. Hartwell, and many other townspeople gathered for the dedication ceremony. Lily helped pull off the cloth covering the bench, and everyone clapped as they read the words. But the biggest surprise came when Maya announced that she and Lily had decided to stay in Millbrook permanently. Maya would work as a counselor with Dr. Mitchell, and they would restart the volunteer program to watch over people in crisis. "This town gave me and Lily a second chance," Maya said to the crowd. "I want to help give second chances to other people who need them." Alex decided to take a job at the regional hospital so they could stay in Millbrook too. The Second Chances Foundation grew quickly, helping dozens of young people find stability and hope. 6 months later, Maya was sitting on the memorial bench at Hope Point on a clear evening, watching the sunset with Lily beside her. They came here often now, not because it was a place of sadness, but because it had become a place of hope. "Mama," Lily said, "are you happy we came here to find Sam Rodriguez?" Maya smiled and hugged her daughter closer. "You know what, sweetheart? I came here looking for one person who changed my life, but I found something even better." "What's that?" "Found out that I have the power to change other people's lives too. And I learned that kindness isn't something that just happens once. It's something that keeps going from person to person. It's like ripples in a pond." Lily nodded seriously. "It's like when we help other people, and then they help other people."
"Exactly."
"Like that," Maya said. "And now, we get to be part of that chain of kindness." As the sun set over the ocean, Maya thought about all the people whose lives had been touched by the simple decision of strangers to help during dark moments. She thought about Alex, who had chosen to sit with her in the rain. She thought about Mrs. Hartwell and all the other volunteers who had given their time to watch over people in crisis. And she thought about all the people that the Second Chances Foundation would help in the years to come. Maya had come to Millbrook, looking for the person who changed her life forever. What she discovered was that the most important question wasn't who had saved her, but who she could save next. The circle of kindness was complete, and it would keep growing, one person at a time, for as long as people chose to care for strangers in their darkest hours. In the distance, the lighthouse began its nightly rotation, sending beams of light across the dark water, a perfect symbol of hope cutting through the darkness. Just like the kindness of strangers had done for Maya 7 years ago, and just like Maya would do for others for the rest of her life.